In this video, I want to talk to you about how you can talk to anyone and turn any misunderstanding or coincidence, even though I don't believe in coincidence, I don't think anything happens on accident, into meeting someone, into talking to someone, into blossoming a friendship. And this is how I've cultivated hundreds, thousands of friendships all around the world. And it's an interesting skill to have, and it's actually really easy. But what it starts off with is actively being funny in a way that is like funny towards yourself and towards the entire situation. You're like playing a video game basically. And the way that I'll explain it is actually 2 days ago, I spent the time hanging out with these new guys from Saudi Arabia. Mind you, we didn't even speak the same language, and we were hanging out all day long and having an absolute blast. So I was out in downtown like Las Vegas, and I went into this restaurant called Eureka. I was wearing a button-up tee and some black pants and some dress shoes. And so these two guys from Saudi Arabia walked up and they're like, "Hey, table for two." And I fist bumped one of the guys like, "Oh, I don't work here." And I think right there could have been a turning point for someone to be like, "Oh, do I look like I work here? Do I really look like, oh my gosh, like I can't believe that it happened to me. Like this ruined my day. How could you say that to me?" I think a lot of black people in particular, because I think a lot of us take the defensive side of like, it was because of my skin color or whatever like that. And instead of any of those routes being taken, this could be any position, by the way. I didn't mean to just call out just black people, but I do hear that very commonly. It could have been a plethora of other things, but that was a very good example. I immediately just waited till the waiter walked up and I said table for three. And then we all sat down and like had dinner together. The one guy is going to school in Boston. The other guy is doing land real estate in Saudi Arabia. And we barely spoke the same language, honestly. We were sitting there, there was awkward silences for sure, but we just thought it was so funny. Like regardless of the language barrier, we just thought it was hilarious. And so we're sitting there kind of like breaking up the conversation, trying to get it together, trying to like figure out what's going on here, because obviously all of us are confused, but we're having a good time. We're in Vegas, why not? For a little bit, we wait for our food to get there. I explained to them the two foods on the menu so that we can get food. They got some burgers, I got some fries. I started eating some fries, and my friends were actually at the bar. I had just left because I wanted to get food. And funny enough, when I left, I thought I knew this was gonna happen. Like I was gonna go meet some people and just go hang out for a second. And right as we're getting done with the food, my friend Jess comes over. Like we finish our food, and at the end of the meal, what happened? Fahad, nice guy, he like paid for a meal. Like, oh no way! Like come on, like that's so silly. And so we thanked them, and then we ended our meal. And I think at the end of it, because in Saudi Arabia they don't drink and they don't smoke and stuff like that, or not smoking, but whatever. So they didn't have their IDs, and so I was like, okay, let's meet up tomorrow. Let's go. I'll take you around town, and we can go out to the 7 Magic Mountains. We can go hang out. We can go do stuff. And they were super excited for it. I think in the U.S. that we have this common thing of like saying that we're gonna go do stuff and not doing it, but in other countries, when they like say we're gonna do something, they really do mean it. So that's something to make like look out for. Like if you're talking to people from other countries, I know in the US we have like terms for like, oh for sure, I'll let you know. I'll let you know means I'm not gonna let you know. It means like, oh for sure, like we'll see, catch it, you know what I mean? So that is something, like if you're gonna talk to someone else about inviting them, I think it's a little bit more intricate in the US, where we have language that says, oh, we're so interested, but we're not actually interested. And so you need to like recognize what those are. Like the words are, I'll let you know, text me, and I think those are the two. Like I'll let you know and text me kind of mean like you can text them and try to figure it out and see if it goes good, but like if I'm being really honest, those two kind of mean air. Anyway, so in the morning I text them, they're going to Caesar Palace to pick up my friend Jess. We all go, I pick her up, I pick up them. We're laughing, we're joking, we're playing EDM music. They're playing like different cultural music, some from Romania, because Jess is from Romania, they're playing their own music. We go out to the 7 Magic Mountains, we film with a drone, we take photos, we're riding around having a good time. And yes, there were some awkward silences, but the entire experience, I was thinking just how vastly different our cultures were and how vastly different of people we were, and we were still able to hang out and be together just because I made one joke table for 3. Let's sit down. We go to the Magic Mountains, take photos. We go back to the Strip. We eat dinner again. We have like calamari. I think Fahad has linguine, and we're filming inside of the Strip, or not inside the Strip, inside the restaurant. We're eating, and it's just such a good time. Have a little bit of wine, hang out. Then we took him to the Las Vegas sign, joked, took more photos, hung out for the entire day. They eventually invited us to Saudi Arabia, and like, you got a place in Saudi Arabia forever. They showed us their place in Saudi Arabia, and it was just really, really, really interesting to see it, to say the least. But that's an experience that I have with a lot of different friends in my life, where I made some silly joke or something that's completely out of place, and it just doesn't make any sense, and you kind of just do it. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the status quo of it, is like, break the normal, do something weird, just like, whatever, let's do this. Like, another way you can do this is by asking really, really in-depth questions that have nothing to do with introductions. Like, I didn't know their name until like we're basically at the end of the dinner. We had talked about like a whole litany of things before we even got to names, you know? And when you're meeting new people, unfortunately, the name in the introduction is less important than how much interest you have in that individual and the things that they do and who they are and their uniqueness or their tendencies. Because you can hear something coming out of their mouth, and if you're not listening, you won't be able to nitpick something out and ask them specific questions about why they're doing the things that they do in their life. And once you ask more about the why of what they're doing, you can really start pulling up more and more and more and more and more to get into these really in-depth conversations. Because at some point we were having really cool conversations about family and things that are actually important to us. But if you're stuck at, where are you from? What's your name? Where do you work? Those are just boring questions. Listen to what they really want to do, what they're really interested in. Like, sometimes they can just mention, oh, my friend is calling me from blank, or my friend is doing this from blank, or I was going to school and I was playing tennis and this other guy came up and we talked about business. But let's say you didn't hear the tennis part, you can also start mentioning things about rackets, or you can talk about what it was like growing up as a kid playing tennis, any great experiences. You can pick up so much from just listening to a person and actually being genuinely interested. You know? That's just my little trick of the day, because I think it's so important to realize how much opportunity is really out there if you just go yap. You know what I mean? I've always wanted to go to Saudi Arabia, and now I have an opportunity to go to Saudi Arabia. Or I have friends in Germany, or I have friends in other places. I have friends in so many different countries that I could probably just go visit and just go hang out with. And it's not that we know each other so well. It's that we completely understand that we're on the same wavelength because of the questions that I've asked. Because we're basically the same people. We've had a good time. We're just here to have a good moment and good enjoyment. And you can create that by finding out other questions rather than, what's your name? Where are you from? What do you like? You gotta listen more. Like, I've gotten into so many conversations about personal development and the mind because of the interest that other people have in me. Like, when you go traveling, you'll notice that even more people are really, really great at conversating, and you'll notice a lot more other people are not so good at it. In your hometown and stuff like that, you kind of forget that there's the skill of communication. But as you're in these countries that come together in different locations, you'll notice they're really good at talking to people, and they'll have more information for you, and you'll pick up on that. And yeah. Also, I think this is a really critical thing to understand when it comes to communication. No interactions happen on accident. The only people you will ever be able to talk to or communicate with are people that are on the same wavelength as you. You were meant to meet them. And once you really understand that, every conversation becomes really easy. Once you internalize that and believe it, and you realize that any person that has spoken to you, it is not an accident. You guys are on some level connecting. Good, bad, or indifferent, you have projected this connection. You get that wavelength. And you see it in fighting energy in men too. Sometimes people, men at the bar, they just want to fight because they just want to fight because they feel that energy of like, let's do this. They're not even mad at each other and they just want to fight. That's the energy that they're on. And for me, I happen to be on a wavelength of I want to have a really good time. I want to share really great experiences. I want to share new experiences with you. I want to share new music. I want to share a great time. I want to share the information that I've gained for personal development from all these conversations I've had with people. I want to share the skills and the talents that I have for videography or piano or singing, or I want to share those things. And that's the wavelength that I get. I get away from the argumentative and all of that. It just happens to be my wavelength. And so when you realize that nothing ever happens on accident, and that I know for a fact that I am put in this situation to speak to these people, and they would not be here if I wasn't. Like, they literally just would not be in my sphere. They wouldn't be me yapping to them. There would be no way for that. The only people that you will ever talk to are people that you have the ability to speak with. Anybody else just won't be in your sphere. Literally will just not be there. So with that being said, just know that the people that you're around are going to be good people. And you have to know that. Know that deep in your heart. And that's all I've got. From my heart to yours, I love you. Hit the subscribe button. Every single day I teach the habit of reality creation. So this is the habit of great communication. Because once you realize that you can communicate with anything, anyone, anything is possible. Remember that objects, opportunities, money, all those things come from other people, and you have to be able to give to community, give to your friends, give to your family. Just give what you can, and remember to be open to receiving. I love you.